Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I am your host, God of Heroics, or you can just call me Hero. Today, I am just uploading one of my videos from a stream I did over on IRIAM. I went ahead and recorded this while running the stream, so if you want to catch any of my streams live, you can go ahead and find me on IRIAM, or just wait for me to go ahead and just upload the full stream here. It's always going to be about an hour to 2 hours, maybe a little bit more, depending on how much time I have. But anyway, enjoy. So, in today's recording, we are going over characters that I generally do not like for one reason or another. They could be all categorized in different ways. We have perverts, we have annoying characters, we have villains, heroes of the sort, and then we have a special list of frauds. And for those of you visual viewers on the YouTube channel, I do have my IRIAM stream up. Go ahead and check that out if you would like at God of Heroics. And we obviously are talking with the chat, so if it seems like I'm being a little bit of a schizo, it's because I'm talking to the chat. So let's get started pulling one from the chat. Careless Camel mentioned Mikasa Ackerman. I don't have a problem with Mikasa actually. I do not like the idea of like the Ackermans kind of assisting the king or being like assistants for the king. So a lot of what she does is because she's like kind of conditioned genetically to do stuff for Eren. I don't really like that too much. But as a character, I feel like she's really great. She has a goal, her goal being supporting Eren. It is what it is. But she works really hard towards that goal. As we saw when she went into like her whole training arc, got her abs and everything, and she was training in hand-to-hand combat, she became a real threat for people like Annie, who pretty much just didn't even want to smoke with Mikasa at some point. And it got so, she got so talented that she was fighting side by side with Levi a couple times. Levi did like kind of save her ass when she was trying to fight Annie, but that's because she was blinded by rage and she didn't necessarily make the best call in the fight, which I'm kind of glad she didn't die in. But considering the way Attack on Titan ended, I think she pretty much broke free of the mold. The genetic conditioning of sorts that I mentioned, she did break free from that and offing Eren. Spoiler if you haven't seen the end of Attack on Titan, 4 years ago? But yeah, um, I do like that. I do like that she broke free from the whole the cycle of love slash hatred, I guess you could call it. So I don't consider Mikasa to be an annoying character at all. Um, so now I'm gonna go over the first person from my list of annoying perverts, which is Master Roshi in Dragon Ball. Now, originally, this wasn't that egregious just because Master Roshi did fall under the trope for a lot of older anime, being like the old man who's like the powerful mentor, but then he's also the old man who's a pervert. So, in a sense, he does carry on two different tropes. And that's not necessarily a bad thing for Master Roshi, but I personally just don't like how carried away he eventually got with being perverted. He was okay at first. It was not necessarily comical originally, in my opinion, but I can see that what they were going for as far as Roshi. He's an old guy who lives on an island by himself, so being a pervert, it just makes sense naturally. But later in the series, in Dragon Ball Z, he does become less and less of a pervert. He doesn't really show off that pervy nature. We do see that he has like pretty much Playboy magazines all around his house. But for the most part, it all became about him trying to guide his student and watch the growth of Goku. However, in Dragon Ball Super, it really did start to get a little bit of egregious to the point where he had a whole training arc before the Tournament of Power where he actually had to train himself to not give in to pervy nature. I think that's the weirdest thing. Like, it's one thing when you're just a pervert in general, but when it gets to the point where you literally need an entire character growth and training arc and development to not let your pervy nature really affect you, I feel like that's at the point where it's just like you're doing too much. Arden and Glitchtrap, thank you for joining the stream. We're discussing annoying anime characters. Right now, I'm talking about perverts, and I am also pulling any names from the chat. So if you guys have any perverts or annoying characters or characters that you don't like, or if you want to know how I feel about the characters, then we can go ahead and drop those names in the comments, and I will be pulling from them every so often and discussing how I feel about them. The next character I do not like, specifically because of his pervert nature, is Sanji from One Piece. I absolutely love One Piece, and when One Piece first started and we met Sanji, I kind of liked the character. I like the idea of him being very gentlemanly. Yeah, he likes women. It is what it is. That's normal. But he's nice. He's a good cook, and I did like his fighting style. Pretty much fighting only with his feet because his hands were specifically for caring for people, with making food for them and cooking and stuff like that. I like that idea that morally he was taught to be that way. He says, Glitchtrap says, I've never watched the show, but I know a friend who was watching the show. But Chainsaw Man, I don't know the character, but yeah. After Sanji, we'll talk about Chainsaw Man. I don't know which character specifically you're talking about, but we can go over a few characters in Chainsaw Man when it comes to annoying characters. Yeah, so with Sanji, his pervertedness, much like Master Roshi, it wasn't that bad at first, but it just got so bad that it became a huge part of his character, and it started to overcome most of his other aspects. So Sanji, at the end of the day, he is a ladies' man and he's a chef. So you would assume that originally, when he's gloating over Nami and eventually Robin, that it's kind of like on a case-by-case basis. But no, it's at the point where if any woman in One Piece isn't like some fat, disgusting-looking lady like Big Mom, that he's just gonna simp over her. There's no loyalty when it comes to Sanji's perversion. And then on top of that, it got to the point where it actually became story relevant that Sanji was a pervert. On Fishman Island is where it really got bad for me, to the point where I started hating this character. The Straw Hat Pirates had ended up on Fishman Island in like the Mermaid Cove, I think it was called, and they obviously weren't supposed to be there, so they had to hide when the entire place was getting inspected. And Sanji basically has to be hidden by like 3 mermaids, and they're like holding him down so behind a rock so he doesn't get spotted by the government officials. And when the government officials leave, he doesn't get caught, but the government officials leave, and Sanji has this huge comedic anime nosebleed. You know how they always do. The character flies back, blood shoots out of their nose, and they're like, oh, I can die happy kind of face. But Sanji actually loses so much blood that he's on the verge of death and actually needs a blood transfusion so that he can survive. This was like a 2 or 3 episode thing that was going on, where they were like, oh shit, we need to save Sanji's life, and then he had to get a blood transfusion from like one of the fishmen because he was the only one that was closely compatible, and it was supposed to be symbolic of like humans and fishmen coming together, because fishmen were notoriously racist and vice versa towards each other. I thought this was so weird. When you make someone's perverted nature pretty much plot relevant, I think that's when you're just going too far. All right, but let's see what Campbell said. He said, I'm gonna give you another character from One Piece, Zoro. I love Zoro. I don't have any problems with him. Zoro is not annoying to me in any way. So I love Zoro. He's in my opinion one of the best characters in all of One Piece. His drive to be a swordsman and to be the strongest swordsman in school, the way him and Sanji butt heads, is really reminiscent of like general rivalries, where obviously Luffy's the captain and then they're like his left and right hand man. They're constantly clashing, but when they really lock in, they actually do care for each other and they team up. I think it's really cool. Zoro does have really bad sense of direction, but aside from that, I actually like him. So Glitchtrap says, I actually know a character the main character in Log Horizon who always gets kicked away by the girl ninja. I don't think he's annoying, but funny as hell. What do you think? Um, I actually don't have an opinion on that character because I watched one episode of Log Horizon and stopped caring. I know it's a good show. I've been told it's a really good show, but I tried watching Log Horizon right off of the back of watching Sword Art Online because that's when like video game isekais were really hitting, and it just wasn't it for me. Like Log Horizon just was not. It wasn't vibing with me, so I kind of dropped it. Um, Unfortunately, I can go back and watch it and try to get my opinion on whoever this character is later, but as of right now, I don't have an opinion. All right, is for Chainsaw Man, which you mentioned earlier, Glitchtrap. Um, so the main character Denji, if we're talking about perverts in general, he can be considered probably the best pervert example, but he's not really that bad of a character to me, mostly because of the character arcs that he goes through. Uh, so yeah, his motivation for like a decent amount of season one is like, oh, I want to, get a girl. I want to do perfect things with a girl. I want to lose my virginity and grab boobs and all that stuff. And that's really his driving force for the most part. But this is a guy who was pretty much born into debt and had his entire life run by a loan shark. He was homeless. Like, he was genuinely celebrating the idea of eating a loaf of bread for dinner. That's how bad it was. So, like, considering how he lived and that he was pretty much isolated by himself, lived in a shed, had to sell his eye, his kidney, and some of his organs to like try to make money to pay off his dad's loan after his dad died. And he was pretty much like, he would eat like cigarettes for money, pretty much. Like he ate a cigarette butt for money in the first episode. So I can't even say that this is bad for him because he just doesn't know how human interactions work in a way. So he's kind of just playing it by ear or like by instinct. And over time, I do keep up the Chainsaw Man manga. So over time, um, his desires do alter a bit to where it's less perverted and more like he's understanding human connection and love. And what he wants is pretty much to live a normal life, and he's evolving to figure out what that really means, if that makes sense. He pretty much is just seeking love, but his what he knows of love is a little skewed based on his life experiences. So, oh, Aurelia, thank you for joining again. You are very consistent in my streams, and I like that. So yeah, today the title says it all. We're talking about anime characters I hate, and we're doing this kind of in waves with like annoying characters, frauds, perverts, and all that stuff. Glitchtrap says, oh, sort of like Klein technically is considered a pervert or just a dumb guy desperate trying to get a freaking girl. Me personally, Hisoka from Hunter x Hunter, but he can kindly burn in hell. I can never miss an I hate stream. Awesome. Well, this is the I hate stream, and I'm glad you're here for it. So, Klein is Haseo. He is pretty much more of a desperate guy, in my opinion. He's less so annoying, and to be honest, I think I don't see him as annoying because he's not in the show as much. Um, he's there a decent amount in season one, but then after season one, well, the first half of season one, his appearances are less and less so. He is pretty much a desperate guy though. He does just want a girl. He seems like just a lonely gamer in like his like what late 20s, early 30s, I think he is. But more so, he's just a lonely guy, and he's a bro. Really, he's a real bro for Kirito, especially in the what was it, the Yuki arc? I think it was after they got Excalibur when Kirito was trying to hold the line and fight back all those players so that Asuna and Yuki could go do that dungeon together. And then Klein shows up and he's like killing off people in the back line while Kirito's handling the front line. That was so cool. To be honest, I wanted to see more of that. Like the battle with Yuki and Asuna, the boss fight that they did was cool, but I really wanted to see more of like Klein and Kirito moments. I wish they had a lot more going on. Yeah, but in the beginning of SAO, I didn't really like Klein, but he was pretty much just a noob gamer. And as he understood the games more and more, he did evolve to being a better player. And I'm glad things worked out for him. Um, but yeah, no, he's more of just a lonely guy, more of like a dude bro, if anything. Hisoka. So I had, for the sake of the video that I'm recording, I'm actually gonna put this screenshot in here. But I had a conversation with one of my friends in our messages, and I told her that I didn't like Hisoka because he's basically, in my opinion, a pedo, and she defends Hisoka with her life. She loves Hisoka and will fight tooth and nail to say that he's a great character. And I'm like, no, this guy is basically just the worst. Like, I understand that Hisoka's motive in life is he wants to fight strong. He wants to fight strong opponents. He basically gets off to fighting strong opponents. However, when those strong opponents are children, you're doing too much, bro. Like, he literally popped a boner in the middle of a fight with Gon. Absolutely disgusting. And then before that, he stares down Gon and Killua's ass. Like, he literally stares at their asses so bad that they like genuinely get creeped out just off of the presence of this guy staring at them. Like, absolutely disgusting. Genuinely disgusting character. I don't like Hisoka. My thing is, like, I understand if you get off the strong characters and you're staring at a strong character, like, you would give me a good fight. But he specifically is staring at these 12-year-olds' asses. He could have looked at their back. He could have looked at the back of their head. He could have checked out their biceps or their calves. Like, oh, you look like you could give a strong punch, or you got some power behind your kicks. But he specifically stared at their ass. There's no reason for that. Absolutely no reason for that. Disgusting character. Yeah, lock him up. Put him with P Diddy. Put him and P Diddy in the exact same prison cell, then drop the prison cell under the prison, and then throw the entire prison into the sun. This character deserves nothing, and any Hisoka defenders can fight me. All right, let me look back at the chat. In my opinion, it might be unpopular, but I absolutely hate Kirito, and I will never forgive the anime for killing him off. I can understand that. I vibe with Kirito, mostly because he just seems like he's just trying to get through life and he's just trying to have fun with his homies. But if you hate Kirito, you hate Kirito. I don't think it's an unpopular opinion to dislike Kirito. I'm pretty sure a ton of people don't like Kirito. In fact, my own brother is one of them. He just feels like Kirito was like a blank slate character where people can kind of just project whatever personality they want on him, and he also considers him a Mary Sue, which is fine. But yeah, if you don't like him, it's not like it's an unpopular opinion. I'm not gonna break down your door, but I just personally won't agree. Yujiro in the Alicization arc, he felt like just another Kirito. So in a sense, I can say that is kind of annoying. Yeah, Yujiro in Sword Art Online, he had a lot of the same drive that Kirito had. I do understand like that he eventually found that one girl whose name I can never remember. I think it started with a T, but he kind of fell in love with her, and he broke free from like his game mind control in a sense to try to save her. And like his whole adventure was pretty cool, but it just seemed like Kirito, but again, and I don't like when stories do that. So I can put him on the list of like annoying characters, but it's not because I find him annoying. It's because I find what the story did with him annoying, if that makes sense. All right. And so the next anime pervert I want to talk about, we went over Sanji, we went over Master Roshi. I want to talk about Mineta from My Hero Academia. I genuinely think this character is like the worst. And he's not as bad in pervert character speak as like Hisoka. But yeah, Aurelia, he sucks. He freaking sucks. So here's my problem with Mineta. It's not necessarily that he's a pervert, because he's like, what, 14, 15 years old? So I understand you're a teenager, you know, you got your hormones, you like women, and you got some baddies in your class. So like, I I can't even say that he's the worst, because if I was like 14, 15 and I had like Momo, Sue, and like Ochako in my class, yeah, I'm staring at titties all day. But my thing with him is his actions don't line up with what he says he wants. So he claims that he wants to be a top hero, and like he wants to be a brave, strong hero that people look up to, because famous heroes get the girls. And that's true. If you're a strong, famous hero who takes down hella villains, and you're good looking, you got the charm, the charisma, especially if you're like on like some celebrity type shit, yeah, you're gonna get people that freaking love you. You're gonna have people like women, especially in his case, because I mean he'd be a male hero in a dominated space, but he would get the love. He would get hella love, and he would get hella women. But you can't say, oh, I want to be a top hero so I can get girls, and then objectively be the worst kind of character. Like he has basically no combat skills when it comes to training to use his powers to be a better hero. He never wants to do it. He's always a crybaby. He's crying all the time. He's running away from it, from battles. He is basically relying on others. He complains every time when they ask him to do anything in a mission. He's basically a follower, because every time he does anything, it's because somebody else strategizes that for him, with the exception of the battle with Midnight. And yeah, I just don't like him. Like you can't. He feels like he wants what he wants, but he doesn't know or doesn't want to deserve it, if that makes sense. He's like, oh, I want the women, I want the fame, I want to have girls all over me, but the work it takes to get there, I don't want to do it. I don't even want to think about it. I want to cower in fear and run away from it. So he's retroactively working against his own goal, where he doesn't even do it's not even that he doesn't do what it takes to be a hero. He's actively doing the opposite, running in the opposite direction. Like, for example, let's say that I wanted to be a famous boxer or whatever. But yeah, let's say I want to be a famous boxer. There's like let's say I have friends that are boxers. There's a boxing gym that they go to, and I can get like 30% off my membership or something, and I can train there regularly. And I just gotta train with them a lot, work out, eat right, and all that stuff. And eventually, get some matches, get my fights up, and my name will spread eventually. I can get bigger in the industry. Now, if I say I want to do all that because let's say I'm broke my whole life and I want to get my family out the hood or something like that, then why would I be eating junk food, avoiding the gym, going to see movies with like other friends, avoiding the people that I'm supposed to be training with, and then complaining if I don't get the fame and fortune that I want? That's my big issue with Minette. Pretty much, he sets goals for himself and then actively goes against those goals. But then he's a pervert to all these women and to all these girls, and he's trying to get them to be his, but he hasn't put in the work to confidently say that he even deserves to have them. And that's why I hate Mineta. Oh yeah, and on top of that, objectively the worst thing he could have fucking done, the day he met Eri, the 6-year-old girl, he's like, oh, you're Eri? I can't wait to see what you look like in 10 years. Excuse me? That's how you talk to little girls? That's how you talk to 6-year-olds? That's weird, buddy. That's weird. Gee, yeah, I'm sorry. I know I went off on a bit of a rant, but like, God, I hate Mineta. Objectively one of the worst characters. Let me catch up with the comments. I haven't read them in a minute. Glisstrap says, yes, the infamous pervert, but he isn't even annoying. He's the ballpark out of the blue character to hilariously shake up the episode. I guess so, but it feels, I don't know, when he's in an episode or when he's doing anything perverted in the episode, it just feels gross to me. Like, it makes my skin crawl. He's not even perverted in like a kind of charmy way where you're like, ugh, if he was a little taller, this would be cute. It's more just like, ugh, why are you talking to me like that? Or ugh, why are you talking to anybody like that? Like even as I was seeing that he would barely pass me that in the class, and he didn't even. Yeah, honestly, if his quirk didn't like stick character, like to basically stick enemies to the ground, I feel like he wouldn't have even passed the test. Because I think that might have been how he got through that test to get to UA. He probably just stuck all the robots down and they couldn't move. So they let him in as like not a side character, but a supporting character. So I'm gonna be honest, I've never fully understood the hate towards Sakura from Naruto. Okay, I definitely want a standard perfect character, but it can't be so strange. Okay, so we can talk about Sakura for a little bit. Let's talk about Sakura because recently there's been a lot of new information that came out about Sakura recently, and it's mostly all from the manga. So in the anime, Sakura actively hates on Naruto. She physically abuses him. She disses him on a regular basis. She's overall just a shitty teammate to him, and she just gloats over Sasuke. Doesn't really have a personality, and that's pretty much all she is for the majority of the show. For like maybe 80% of the show. In the manga, she's quite literally the opposite. Like in the beginning, yeah, she doesn't like Naruto. She talks a little shit about him, but she actively does come around to being his teammate. She shows that she cares for him and like eventually starts not liking him, but she likes him as a person. She comes around to him. Her and Sasuke actually do share like a couple moments here and there in the manga. Like that episode where like early Naruto where Sasuke basically tells her to fuck off because she disses Naruto. She's like, he's an orphan, blah, 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 blah. She's like talking mess to everybody. And she's talking mess to Sasuke about Naruto being an orphan. Like, you're literally talking to an orphan and then dissing another orphan. Like, they are not in the exact same boat. Okay, but everyone disses on Naruto until he's the Chunin exams. Naruto should have grown up that entire. Yeah. My but my thing is, I'm not mad that Sakura dissed Naruto because pretty much everyone did except like Shikamaru and Choji because those were like his day one homies as kids. But my problem is she's portrayed completely different in the anime than she is in the manga. In the manga, she gets a lot of character growth early in the show. She does share some pretty decent moments with Sasuke that make their relationship at the end of the series actually look like they eventually worked their way there. Like you can tell Sasuke did eventually over time start caring about Sakura in the manga, but in the show, it made it seem like, oh, I just want to kill my brother and nothing else matters. And I just want power so I can be better than Naruto. Nothing else matters. But in the manga, he's like, yeah, I want power, but I also want to develop my teamwork. Yeah, I want to kill Itachi, but my friends are in danger, so let's help them out a little bit. Like he had his own selfish way of kind of like going about it, and he was a little like passive aggressive, being a little bit of a dick, but you can tell he cared. And then Sakura was a bitch to Naruto for like the first few chapters, but over time, as she got to see more of Naruto and see more of his character and hear the kind of things that he would say when it came to like how he would talk to villains, basically talking to jutsu people, that's when she started coming around like, oh, he might not be that bad of a guy. The problem is that for whatever reason, Period Studio decided when animating the Naruto, when making the anime for Naruto, they were gonna make Sakura the most like unhinged hater for Naruto to the point where she's like physically abusing him. Like she punches him out. The multiple times in the show where she punches Naruto and like sends him flying for the comedy of the situation. That never happens in the manga. She does not physically abuse Naruto. And I don't think she does it even one time. She might hit him once. I have to relook at the manga, but she does not like go abusing him and sending him flying and all that stuff like she does in the anime. So basically, they just took the early traits within the manga and said, let's make that her entire personality. Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much what happened, and that's why a lot of people don't like Sakura because most people that grew up with Naruto watched the anime and never read the manga. But if you actually go back and read the manga, you see she's a way better character in the manga. And this isn't just me saying this because I read the manga, but I had to go back and look at it because this YouTuber I follow, NC Hammer 23, he built his channel, his original channel, on his knowledge of Naruto. So when he started getting those comments like where people were hating on Sakura, he actively was going back into the manga and showing you in videos like, hey, Sakura's not that bad. Oh, hey, Nezuko, you're back. Thank you for showing up in today's stream like yesterday. We're discussing annoying anime characters. Right now, we're on Sakura. But, yeah. So like I was saying, she's not as bad in the manga as she is in the anime. For whatever reason, Studio Period ruined her in the anime. He says, I've got an entire show that's annoying to the point where I'm watching it to see the protagonist straight up annihilate the rest of the characters. What show are you watching? Rising of the Shield Hero! Okay, that's great. I actually love this anime. And I think where it ended in, what was it, season 1 or 2, where he actually got to like punish the king and the princess, I think that was wonderful. In my opinion, after all of that goes down, the show does operate kind of like a basic isekai with like the twist of the two worlds kind of fighting back the calamity. But aside from that, I really loved the direction that it was going in, where he was pretty much being convicted as a criminal because the king and his daughter religiously hate the shield, or they hate any user of the shield, but you have to summon all the heroes. And then eventually we find out more about the world where like the shield hero and the other heroes aren't supposed to be summoned together. They're supposed to be in like not ruling but protecting different regions. And I think that would have been cool. And then seeing the way Naofumi interacts with the other heroes is freaking amazing, because he's more of like a grounded person while the others are pretty much treating it like pure fiction. Me personally, season 1 was probably Roche's peak. Yeah, it was definitely Shield Hero's peak. It's not necessarily the worst of the isekais currently, but season 1 is where it was really the best. Nezuko, you're saying Mineta, he's annoying? That is correct. Thank you for the heart gift, by the way. But yeah, Mineta is annoying. We did discuss Mineta a little bit before you showed up, unfortunately, and I did go off on a bit of a rant. However, all of this is getting recorded and it's going to be posted on my YouTube channel at God of Heroics VT, all one word. So sometime in the next coming weeks, this video should be up and you'll be able to see everything that I said about Mineta. It says, and then the Shield Hero said, I'm the most overpowered, is the best karma bitch comeback I've ever seen. Yeah, Shield Hero, Naofumi definitely had the best comeback in my opinion. I also like that Raphtalia and Philo are getting as strong as they are, where they're pretty much being able to support him in genuinely any way. And especially Raphtalia pretty much being as strong as the hero herself. Says, I know he's not necessarily bad per se, but he's definitely one of the most annoying-ish characters. Bakugo from My Hero Academia. Okay, we're about to go off on a crazy tangent, because when you mention Bakugo, thank you for subscribing, by the way, Nezuko. When you mention Bakugo being one of the more hated characters, this is kind of personal to me. I hate Bakugo because I hate bullies. And in my opinion, yes, Bakugo did eventually become a better character. Bakugo is cute. Okay. Anyway, so I don't like bullies, pretty much. And Bakugo is the end all be all of bullies. And I have this conversation with one of my friends a lot, because he's a Bakugo lover while I'm a hardcore Deku stan. And we get to the point where like we're actually talking about like the philosophy behind these characters. So in his opinion, Bakugo, with the way that he was raised by his mother and his father, well, mostly his mother, is that once his quirk was pretty much unlocked, it's like you're basically the strongest. You can't show any weakness. You have to, give it your all 120% at all times, which is interesting. because that does eventually turn Bakugo into the person that he is. And at the end of the story, he's a fairly redeemed character, in my opinion. But leading up to that, the bullying was unnecessary. So my friend told me that in Bakugo's opinion, or the way he sees it from Bakugo's point of view, is that when they were kids and Bakugo was like falling or he would get hurt or whatever, Deku trying to help him or Deku trying to help him or asking him if he's okay, in Bakugo's mind was taken as pity and like he was mocking him, because Bakugo's mother would do that to mock him, where she's like, you have to be 110, you have to give it your best, you can't show weakness, you can't get hurt. So she would probably mock him like, oh, like his baby hurt kind of thing. And in his mind, he sees Deku offering him a helping hand, and he's thinking, oh, he's making fun of me like my mom would. So that's why he started treating Deku like shit, especially when it was shown that Deku had no quirk. So his mom pretty much traumatized him to the point where he was pushing that onto Deku, because Deku in his mind is seen as the weakling the way his mom saw him as a weakling, in order to make him strong. I think this might be correct. This might actually be why Bakugo is the way he is, or was the way he was, but that still doesn't justify bullying, especially to the degree that Bakugo was going, like destroying Deku's notebook in the beginning of the series. In their first fight, when he pulled the pin off his weapon and was like, oh, he won't die if he dodges. I think that's just unnecessarily like being a dick for no reason. So while Bakugo is objectively one of my most hated characters in My Hero, I can easily say he's been redeemed, in my opinion. The fact that he's even willing to work with Deku, and that he was interested enough to find out the secret behind his quirk, and that he stayed silent about the secret the whole time and agreed to help train him, and then even wanted to like push himself to help Deku get pushed even stronger. It felt like he gave up the idea of Deku being like a weakling and instead decided to use Deku as a means of bettering himself. So yeah, I hated Bakugo. I still kind of dislike him because of that, but I do agree that he's basically gotten his shit together. He literally told Deku to take a swan dive off a freaking roof because he was quirkless. Yeah, he definitely told Deku to basically off himself, and I hate that. But my thing is, in media, I mean, obviously fiction mirrors reality, but the bullying in Asian countries, especially as portrayed in like most of their shows and movies and stuff, is way worse than it is in the States. Like out here, you can get somebody just telling you, oh, F off, never show your face here again, or they may like, like threaten to jump you or whatever, or just steal your money. In freaking Japan and like Korea, you get people actively telling you to like jump off a bridge, and that's as mild mannered as it gets. Telling you to off yourself out here in the States is probably something you wouldn't do it like face to face unless you were just that confident. But in a lot of Asian countries, that's like the bare minimum, to be honest. How about Toga? She's so annoying. Toga's actually one of my favorite female characters in My Hero Academia, and we'll talk about that in a different stream when we talk about characters I like, because Toga's amazing. She we'll talk about that later. Anyway, mind you, love mid to late season Bakugo's death, but early Bakugo I hate it. Yeah, Bakugo's death baiting, I'm kind of back and forth on it. Like, I feel like Bakugo should have died in that season, like in the last season, but at the same time, I like that he didn't die. More so, I guess my opinion is that I wish he didn't live because of Edshot. I wish that he had like just pushed through and found some like way, or like had a quirk awakening that helped him like survive, not just Edshot jumping in his body and being like, I'm gonna turn myself paper thin and do surgery on his heart. That was a cop out. That was the stupidest cop out. I feel like it should have been a quirk awakening, that because then that could have not just symbolized Bakugo awakening his power to be stronger, but also putting him on the level of Deku, who is his rival and has been his rival the whole time. Because for the past like 3 4 seasons, no, past like 3 seasons, I think, I can say confidently that Deku has been stronger than Bakugo. He's just been holding back. But Bakugo always giving it his all would have been the opposite effect of Deku, where Deku's holding back but learning to use his quirks. And then when he goes all out, his quirk knowledge makes his quirks that much more effective. Where Bakugo would be, I'm going all out all the time to be as strong as I possibly can. But now I'm gonna break my limit and go even further beyond. Because we've always gone over the idea of like plus ultra and characters breaking their limits, and Bakugo breaking his limit to not only survive his fight with All For One, but then to eventually kill him without the additional help of Deadshot giving him heart surgery would have helped his character development a lot more. He said, I'm gonna be so honest, Mahito from JJK is one of the few characters from the show where I almost want to hunt down the VA. Mahito's on my list, by the way, of characters I don't like. He's not on my pervert list, and he's definitely not next on the list. But he's on my list of frauds, and we'll talk about that when we get there. Next on my list of characters I hate is actually a character I talked about a little bit in my last stream, Zenitsu from Demon Slayer. And you know what? We may as well kick off the fraud list here too, because he kind of falls in like every category. Allison, thank you for joining the stream. We're discussing annoying characters right now, and actually we're about to get into frauds as well. So Zenitsu is like the perfect, well-rounded character that I don't like. Like everything that I don't like about most characters that are not villains, I also don't like about Zenitsu. So I don't like him for his perverted behavior, the way he basically was chasing Nezuko around and pretty much simping for her. I find that weird. I mean, he's young, so, you know, things happen, but I still find that behavior weird. When Tanjiro first met him initially, when he was begging that woman to marry him so that he could get out of the Demon Slayer life, that's pathetic as hell. So pathetic behavior on top of weird pervert behavior, also another thing I hate. And then on top of that, he's an absolute fraud up until like the recent movie. So everyone loves Zenitsu, and they're like, oh my god, he's such a badass. Yeah, I know he's a little weird, but you know, when he falls asleep, he's a badass. If you have to be asleep to be a good character, you're objectively just a shit character. And I don't think that's controversial to say, in my, like, at all. I think if your skills were the skills required to carry you through a fight demand that you're not even conscious, then you're just objectively a bad character. Because the only times that this would like be useful is if an enemy knocks you out because they're like, oh, you're pathetic, but you're in my way, and they knock you out, like what happened with Daki. Or if like you want to feel safe in your sleep, like when you got demons running around that can kill you in the middle of the night, falling asleep at night is probably the scariest thing you can do as a demon slayer, or just a person in general. But if you have someone like Zenitsu with you, then you're safe while you're asleep, because you're like, oh, he's the most alert when he's asleep, because that's when he's badass. But outside of those two things, he's not really useful. Let's see, it says, okay, not annoying, but let's talk about he's a hero, yes, and a loved character, but to the public, they only know this one form and weak form. So, isn't that fraudulent? Yeah. So, this is still like kind of on the list of why I don't like him. I am kind of getting there. That is why I consider him a fraud. So regardless of him being a loved character, regardless of him pretty much being heroic, and I do consider him to be a hero specifically because even though he's only good while he's asleep up until literally the recent movie, he still has the drive to actually like help out and still train to get stronger, and he still has things to protect. Like he loves Nezuko, he wants to protect Nezuko, and in his opinion, that's like his one thing to hold on to keep him really active in his life. We know that he still trains as far as like being a demon slayer, because we see even though he hates it, he still actively fights for it so that he can still be around to protect the ones that he loves. And he did tell Kaigaku when he basically killed him that the move he killed him with he made so that he could use it while fighting alongside Kaigaku, which means that he's always wanted to continue to be a demon slayer and fight alongside other demon slayers his entire time in the show. It's just that he just panics a lot. So my problem with Zenitsu is very similar to my problem with Mineta, where it's like you have a goal, but you're actively fighting against what you need to do to reach your goal. But in Zenitsu's sense, I can give him the hero label because he instinctively wants to fight against his goal, but willfully he's fighting against his natural instincts to run from fights. He doesn't want to run from fights. Well, he naturally wants to run from fights, but in his mind, his conscious mind, he doesn't want to. He wants to be there to protect people. Even in the beginning with that one demon that told him, I'll slurp your brain through your ear, he was standing there holding his sword with that kid behind him. He told the kid, get behind me, and he was actively trying to defend the kid. It's just that he was fighting between his body's panic desire to run away and his conscious mind to fight. He was literally stuck in the middle of a fight or flight mode. He's just indecisive, unfortunately. Like, he had the skill to kill the demon, which we saw as he passed out and killed him, but he just didn't feel at all confident that that was something he was able to do. So yeah, I don't like him. I definitely consider him to be a fraud up until literally the most recent movie, but he's a pure example of every type of character I don't like. That's not a villain. He's the pervert, as we saw. He's a fraud, as we just recently discussed. He's annoying as hell with all his screaming and yelling. I don't find that funny. I've had friends that tell me, like, when I tell them I don't like how much Zenitsu screams, they're like, "Oh, it's funny, it's comedy." I don't think being loud is funny necessarily. Like, there are some times where characters can freak out and scream where I'm like, haha, it's a little bit out of character. Oh, wow, that's a nice reaction to the situation. But Zenitsu does it all the time, and he does it in situations that aren't even that serious. Like they'll be training, and it's like when they were training with Guillaume, and it's like, oh, push this rock like 5 miles away or some shit. And he's freaking out about, like, screaming, freaking out, like, oh, we can't do that. How does he expect us to do that? This is torture, blah, 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 blah. Dude, he's just asking you to push a rock. Like, yeah, it's a heavy ass rock, but it's not like he's actively telling you to go fight Muzan head to head. He's just telling you to push a rock to train, bro. And he didn't say you have to do it today. He's just saying train, try it every day, get better at it. Dude, this is not a situation to scream and freak out about. But getting off of Zenitsu, we're gonna go a little bit back in the comments, and we're gonna discuss Mahito because Careless Camel brought him up, and Mahito is a character I hate. I understand his character 100%, but that doesn't mean I like him. Because Mahito, so all the curses in Jujutsu Kaisen are born from fears, from natural human fears. And Mahito is one of the best ones, in my opinion, because he's born from people's fear of other people. Like, you never know what anybody's going to do. You don't know what other people are capable of. And the fact that humans are unknown to even humans creates probably one of the strongest fears in all of Jujutsu Kaisen. And I love that Mahito embodies that 100%. He's completely irredeemable, 100% irredeemable, because as a curse, his objective is just harm people based on what people fear of you. And that's also why he has the ability of idol transfiguration, where he can change and manipulate souls, because everybody, in a sense, is a blank slate when you first look at them. You can't look at someone and objectively know every single thing about them. You don't know if that person is a monster. You don't know if that person is just a salary man. You don't know if that person's going through anything or if that person's living a happy life. You don't know how much money's in their bank account, or you don't know how they would react in different situations. So Mahito is the fear of the unknown when it comes to humans in general. But that doesn't mean I fucking like him, because I do not. I hate Mahito. He is objectively like my most hated character in the entirety of Jujutsu Kaisen. Great representation of what he's supposed to be. Objectively a horrible, terrible asshole character. But in my opinion, Mahito is a fraud. He's one of the two big examples of frauds in in Jujutsu Kaisen. And it's because I know a lot of people, especially when Gojo and Sukuna fight, I'm not going to say anything for anime only viewers, but people consider Gojo a fraud for their reasons, and they consider Sukuna a fraud for their own reasons, depending on what side you fall on or how you view the fight that they're going to have. Mahito, in my opinion, is a fraud because he's a character that he just likes to rage bait and kill people and rage bait again and kill more people and torture people and make everybody feel betrayed and all that stuff, and hurt people, traumatize them more, blah 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 blah. It's all in his nature. But then as soon as he starts getting his ass whooped, instead of seeing the fight through, he's like, oh, I'm gonna leave. His first thought, I'm gonna leave. And normally, you can just assume, well, that would be anybody. If you're fighting somebody and you start losing, you want to get out of there as soon as possible. That's not everybody. A lot of people see their fights through. A lot of people decide that it's dishonorable to run away, or they choose to continue fighting on the off chance that they can find a way to win. But Mahito doesn't care for any of that. Mahito, as soon as he sees that he can't win, even though 9 times out of 10, he's the one that started this bullshit, he wants to run away. She shows up, he mocks people, he makes fun of them, he kills people, he has transfigured souls in his pockets to turn into monsters to fight. But as soon as he starts getting his ass whooped, he's like, I'm gonna run away into the sewer drains, or I'm gonna run away and crawl away and try to get away from you, and I'm gonna survive, and then come back the next day and pretend like this never happened. Like, he got jumped by Nanami and Yuji in the first season and was getting his ass whooped so bad he had to spawn his domain expansion to survive. And then when losing that fight after spawning his domain, he runs away into the sewer grate. The very next time he shows up, he's like us. He's literally pretending like that never happened. He's actively laughing. He's still killing more people using transfigured souls. He's talking down on Yuji and all these other people. He's like laughing at everybody, talking shit. And I'm like, did you not just get jumped like 2 weeks ago, bro? Did you it's like that SpongeBob meme, like, how many times do I have to teach you this lesson, old man? That's literally Mahito. This guy shows up, is objectively the worst person to exist, and then after getting his ass whooped, runs away, and then comes back the next day on the same bullshit that got him beat up in the first place. You can't tell me that's not fraudulent behavior. You genuinely cannot. And the other person on this list that I would consider a fraud right next to Mahito is Jogo. And I don't know why people don't talk about this. Like, when it comes to Jogo, what people talk about the most in the JJK community is that Jogo is one of the most powerful spirits. They're like, oh yeah, we know he got beat up. We know he lost his fight to Gojo. He lost his fight to Sukuna. He got no diff in both fights. But that's because he was fighting the 2 top tiers of the verse. Yeah, and do you know who decided that he was fighting those people? Literally him. Literally Jogo. Jogo actively decided to fight those 2 people. When he was told by Kenjaku, at the time we thought it was Geto, but he was told by Kenjaku in season 1, hey, don't fight Gojo. That man is a different breed. Gojo's birth changed Jujutsu sorcery as we know it. The universe glazes Gojo. Do not fight that man. You will die. And he's like, But what if I do though? And then he just, for no reason whatsoever, after being told not to fight because he will die, he goes to fight Gojo. Gets absolutely no diffed. He gets his ass whooped to the point where Gojo doesn't even consider this a fight. Gojo beats his ass, throws him into a lake, and then is like, hey, this would be a really good moment to teach my students something. Imagine you're getting your ass beat so bad you turn into a tutorial. That's how bad this was. Gojo decided, I'm gonna teach my student a really valuable lesson in cursed energy manipulation and domain expansions. And I'm gonna use this guy that I'm fighting to do it. He literally leaves in the middle of the fight, gets Yuji, brings him back to the fight, and is like, hey, watch this, and proceeds to no-diff the hell out of Jogo. Hanami shows up, saves his life. W Hanami, right? Then he shows up later in season 2 in the Shibuya incident and decides, I'm gonna fight Gojo. And this time is not that bad because at least this is part of the plan for sealing Gojo, as we see in season 2. This is part of the plan for sealing Gojo. But he acts like surprised when him and Hanami are getting their ass beat and Chozo's blood art is doing literally nothing. He acts surprised, like this was an unexpected outcome. You knew this wasn't gonna work. You fought this man before. He told you what his powers are and how they work. You knew you weren't getting a hit in. I don't give a shit about this domain amplification bullshit that they were trying. It didn't work. It didn't work the first time. I don't know why they tried it a second time. And then when Hanami gets killed, you know what Jogo does? You know what Jogo does? Probably one of the most fraudulent ways to run away from a battle. Instead of just running away like Mahito, he runs away while throwing people at fucking Gojo. He's lighting people on fire and throwing bodies at Gojo like, oh, this will slow you down. This will slow you down. Dude, this can't possibly be not fraudulent behavior. This is fraudulence at its finest. This is the purest example of being a fraud in the entire series. And then you know what he does next. You know what he does next? He backdoors three fucking fighters off the cusp of Dagon's fight. Dagon pops his domain, fights Nanami, he fights what's his name, Nobito and Maki. And unfortunately for him, Megumi and Toji show up, Dagon dies, and Jogo is around the corner peeking at them like, oh, there's some shit going down over there. Nagito. Yeah. The leader of the Zenin clan, the projection sorcery. Yeah. So Jogo is standing around the corner like, ooh, I see Toji's over there. I don't want to mess with that guy. Like he didn't just fight a top 2 in the verse twice. And after Toji leaves, as soon as Toji takes Megumi and starts fighting him in the streets, Jogo shows up and pretty much one-shots Maki, Nagito, and Nanami, essentially just lighting them all on fire while they're not paying attention. That's crazy. Like, he doesn't even want the fair ones no more. That's insane. And then after that, what is the next thing he does? He goes to find Sukuna. He finds Sukuna. The girls are feeding the knocked out Yuji. They're feeding him the fingers, Sukuna's fingers. And then he decides to tell Sukuna, oh, I got some more fingers for you, and you can have them, but you just got to help us out. First of all, this is the king of curses. You're not telling him what to do. You're not bargaining with the king of curses. But then aside from that, agrees to the terms of Sukuna saying, oh yeah, I'll fight you and you'll fight me, and I'll work with you. I'll be on your side if you can land a single hit. So keep in mind, in season 1, before he even fought Gojo, Kenjaku told this man that in terms of strength, he's about 8 to 9 fingers of Sukuna strong out of 20. At this point, when he's about to fight Sukuna, he had, I think it was 12 fingers, it was either 12 or 15. I think it was 12. He had 12 Sukuna fingers of power within him. And Jogo decides, yeah, I'm about 8, 9 fingers strong, but I'm gonna fight a 12 finger strong Sukuna. That sounds like a smart idea. I would have cut my losses, to be honest. Because what was the point? What was the point of agreeing to that fight? Because he wasn't gonna win. He wasn't gonna win, and he knew that. There's absolutely no way he was gonna win that fight. And if that's not the worst possible situation he could have put himself in, he then proceeds to lose to the element he manipulates. Bro has fire and lava bending to his will and dies to a fire arrow. That's like Ace getting killed by a Kainu. Absolutely sad. Absolutely sad. Yeah, I don't know what's up with the Jogo lovers or the JJK community, but they will glaze Jogo and just say, "Oh, he only died because he fought the strongest people in the verse." Yeah, by his own decision. Like, he did that on purpose. Sukuna and Gojo are on levels that if you even consider messing with them, you should just start citing your will. That's correct. Correct, Glitchtrap. Sukuna and freaking Gojo are the pinnacle of sorcery in this verse. So much so that before they fight, when Gojo and Sukuna are gonna fight, Gojo tells freaking Yuta, who by the way is probably maybe the third strongest character, he straight up tells Yuta, "Don't jump in this fight. You will only slow me down." That's how freaking Gojo gets down. He's like, "Nah, every fight I'm in, I can't have teammates, because if I got teammates, that's a liability." That's insanity. And yeah, Jogo did die fighting the top tiers in this verse, but aside from the fact that he did that on his own, he only defeated 3 other people in a fight, and it's because he snuck all of them at the same time. Genuinely, like, you can't tell me this is not a fraud. He is my top example of a fraudulent anime character. Probably top, because I would also put Vegeta on the list of frauds, but Jogo he's probably a bigger example of a fraud, because at least with Vegeta, he has the skill to back it up in most cases. It's just like the official big bad is the one that he's not stronger than, or he does something stupid that lets the big bad get stronger. But it's not like Vegeta is ever 100% outmatched all the time. It's just it's a case by case thing with Vegeta. But Jogo was actively told, "Don't fight Gojo, he will kill you." And Sukuna, you only amount to 8 or 9 fingers, and both times he jumped into a fight he had no business being in. He thought he had a chance with a sorcerer who could literally stop time by giving you everything and nothing at the same time. Yeah, I don't know what he thought. I don't know what he thought. Like, at this point, he's not even just a fraud. He's got to be mentally challenged, right? Like, he's got to have some kind of mental issue. Like, this isn't neurodivergent. This isn't autism. Like, he's just straight up retarded. Like, this is like the purest example of like being absolutely brain dead. I don't know what it is about him. I don't know where all his glaze comes from. Sukuna telling him, stand proud, you were strong. He's right. I mean, Jogo is strong, but I wouldn't tell him to stand proud. I'd be like, yeah, sit your ass down. You made a dumb decision. Well, you made a dumb decision 3 times. I couldn't imagine doing that. I mean, the only smart decision he made pretty much was waiting for Toji to leave to get into the fight. Because, Toji smoked a Dagon. He definitely would have smoked Jogo. He's more ignorant than Bakugo. Even he'd back off from Gojo. Yeah, for a fact, Bakugo wouldn't even fight Gojo. If it came down to it and he saw what Gojo's power was, if he hit him with like a howitzer impact at max power, and Gojo was still just chilling, Bakugo wouldn't even finish the fight. He would know something's up and he would leave. And with Sukuna, he wouldn't even try. Once Sukuna basically diced up that one girl into cubes, Bakugo would be like, "Yeah, this fight isn't worth it." He wouldn't even consider it. He would wait for backup. But yeah, oh my god, this character is absolute ass. But yeah, that I think that about sums up the characters I hate. Oh no, I didn't talk about Vegeta at all. Hold on. Because Vegeta's a character I don't like for a very similar reason as Bakugo. What do you say? It says you said Gojo would show maybe 15% the tops and Gojo would be stunned stupid. Yeah, absolutely. 100% that would happen. True Nappa, thank you for joining the stream, by the way. We're still discussing some annoying anime characters. We went over a lot today. We're about an hour, 20 minutes in. So that is most of the characters we were talking about. But I do want to talk a little bit about Vegeta, primarily because when I first started making this list, he was actually the first person on the list. He's not my most hated character on the list for sure. That definitely goes to Mahito. Probably Joga was a good contender for number two, and which is crazy because I said Zenitsu is one of my most annoying characters in all regards. Like Zenitsu hits every single category of characters I don't like, and somehow he's third most disliked character, next to two characters that are just blatant frauds. Yeah, but Vegeta, Mr. Fraud, wow, Mr. Pride himself. Yeah, I don't like him. From the beginning when he showed up, I just thought he was like just a villain. You know, he's just one of those nuisance villains. He doesn't really feel like a final boss kind of villain. He feels like it's leading up to something. So I don't like Bondred from Made in Abyss. Okay, I haven't watched the anime, but I'm gonna play the Made in Abyss video game because it's like on sale right now. So I'm gonna snag it and play through it. And I will definitely talk about Bondred in a future stream. Right now, I don't have an opinion on it, but I have heard from people that watch the show that it's depression incarnate, and that Bondred is one of their most disliked characters. So I'm pretty sure there is credibility to what you just said. I haven't played the game, but I don't know how far it takes place in the show. That's fair. That's fair. I guess I should watch the show then, just in case the game doesn't go as far, or in case it's one of those games where they make like an original story or something. But yeah, so when Vegeta first showed up, he didn't seem like a final boss character to me. It's more like when you fight somebody and then you know like there's something after him, you know? Like you beat this character and he definitely is a boss fight, but he's not the boss fighting. You can kind of sense there's something behind him, you know, like there's something bigger than him coming. Um, because when he shows up, he obviously like him and Nappa are, or they came down here because Raditz was just here and he died and blah 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 blah. Goku was sent here to destroy Earth. He didn't, so now they're basically here to finish what basically Goku didn't. Which cool story. I'm glad it went that route and it wasn't some other stupid nonsense. But when it comes to his character, I can easily say he is one of the few characters that has like the best plot progression or the best character development. The way he progresses, and I found out recently because I saw it on a video. I don't remember who posted it. I think it was Yuzuhara or something. He goes over a lot of Dragon Ball content, but you can see Vegeta's character progression through his outfit. So when he first showed up on Earth, he had the sand armor, the shoulder pads. He had the little skirt, I guess you could call it, and the tail around his waist and all that stuff. After he gets defeated by Goku and he goes to Nappa, he no longer has like the skirt part of his armor. It's just the body armor and the shoulder pads. And then as he continues, his adventure through Namek, he kills. He's rebelling against the Frieza Force. He kills Kui. He kills Dodoria. He fights. Fuck's his name? Zarbon. He fights Zarbon and then he kills Zarbon. But then when he gets his new outfit after fighting Ginyu Force. No, before fighting the Ginyu Force, he gets a new outfit and it doesn't have the shoulder pads anymore. It's no, it is. It's after. It's after the Ginyu Force because that's when everybody gets their own like new clothes and everything. So he no longer has the shoulder pads, and then eventually, when like the Buu saga hits, he no longer has the armor at all. It's just like the tank top, the pants, and then he has like the gloves and boots. So it's like he's keeping a little bit of his culture when it comes to like the armor, but he's more like being humanized in a sense. So over time, he does become more of a human-esque character through his character development. Um, it says, which character were you talking about that you didn't like? The funniest thing about Vegeta is he's such an egotist guy that fans based, and I think the manga gave Vegeta Ultra Ego. Yeah, Ultra Ego was actually really good for Vegeta in my opinion because I mean it's in a sense the opposite of Ultra Instinct. So Goku gets Ultra Instinct and it fits him because Ultra Instinct is kind of like what it's based off of what Bruce Lee was talking about as far as like being in the flow and like, you know, mastering your techniques where your body is just instinctively making those decisions because at the end of the day you know all these techniques, you mastered all these techniques, you've been in so many fights and have so many experiences, you naturally know more or less like what to do in every situation. It's just a matter of, you know, letting your body flow and being like water. And I think that was great for Goku because he's a character he down as a down to his most base character when it comes to being a fighter, he learns from everyone. He learns different martial arts styles, he learns techniques and everything from everyone. He's had more masters than most characters. While Vegeta is a self-made fighter and he doesn't learn to fight from other people, he learns to fight from battle experience. So Goku is more like take everything you've learned and use it to its fullest, making, you know, the perfect movements and the perfect strikes and attacks and techniques. While Vegeta is more so like a brawler to a T, where it's like, oh, I hate you, nigga, let's die. Kind of where like we're just gonna swing on each other until someone dies or until someone's down for the count. And I think that's really cool for Vegeta's character. Well, I think that's his OC name for the form, but I think it's similar to Topo's form. It's calm-minded, but Ultra Ego is aggressive and anger-driven. Wait, that's Super Saiyan, but you get it. Yeah, no, I get it 100%. Ultra Instinct is basically tranquility, a peaceful mindset, while Ultra Ego is probably the most like aggressive, like building your anger and using that in a fight. So it is more reminiscent to Super Saiyan, but for Vegeta, it's more so being in tune with, you know, himself as a Saiyan and how he was in his olden days, because he did say he was kind of bringing back a little bit of how he used to be. Also, yeah, I think you're right. I don't think Ultra Ego was the official name for that. I do have to look at it. I think Vegeta might have actually called it Ultra Ego in the show, in the manga though. I think that's what he called the form because he wanted it to kind of parallel the Ultra Instinct name. But in a sense, it is a Saiyan transformation that takes on the destruction abilities. So what it is that Saiyans, their bodies adapt to their abilities and powers through transformations. So the Super Saiyan transformation is their body pulling its fullest of potential through the Super Saiyan transformation based on pure anger and the desire to get stronger, or the need in general to be stronger. And that's where they get Super Saiyan from. Super Saiyan 2 is that, but with like more anger. So obviously they're building like ki through their anger and like rage, and their body adapts to that rage and overwhelming power, which is where Super Saiyan 2 comes from. And I want to assume Super Saiyan 3 is very similar to that, but it just uses power more frequently. And then that's why when Goku and Vegeta obtain God form, a God Ki, that they get a God form, while every other character that has God Ki doesn't get a transformation out of it because their bodies don't adapt in that same way. So Saiyans, their bodies adapt by creating a new transformation. Like when Goku was learning Ultra Instinct in the Tournament of Power, he wasn't able to fully master it or integrate it into his base form which is why the mastered ultra instinct form exists with the white hair, because his body adapted to it by creating a transformation for it. The same happened with Vegeta, where he learned how to use destruction key like Beerus, but he's not as talented with it. So in order to use it to its fullest potential, his body had to evolve to create a transformation to allow him to take on the destruction version of God Key, if that makes sense. This is, I think I've heard a theory, they're both the next gods and linked to one another as their rivals. Yeah, there is a theory that Goku would end up becoming the next angel, and Vegeta would be the next god of destruction, so they would be replacing Beerus and Whis. That is a theory going around, but nothing is confirmed essentially. But yeah, I'm supposed to be talking about annoying characters. I've been over here giving freaking Dragon Ball Z lore. So the reason I don't like Vegeta, it's mostly because he's just a shit talker. At the end of the day, that's pretty much my only real gripe with him. It's just that he does a lot of shit talk, and then in most cases doesn't really back it up that well. Like, yeah, he talked a lot of shit, and in most cases he wins those fights, like against the smaller enemies, the lesser enemies, but that's because he was born as an elite. So in his mind, he's like, oh, I'm already strong, I was born strong. And then it's like when he's going to other planets and conquering those planets, to him he's like, I'm the strongest one here. How dare they think that their puny weapons can defeat me? Or how dare they think that I can be taken down by someone like them? So he's inherently strong through birth, but he's also inherently ignorant in the same vein as the circumstances of his birth. This becomes an issue because while he does get humanized in a sense as a character, like he cares more about the people around him and keeping them safe, as now he has a wife and kids. He humanizes in the sense of his morality, but he never humanizes in the sense of how he talks to people. Or, well, I guess I wouldn't call it humanizing, but he never humbles himself, if that's the right word for it. Jiren, the strongest there is. El Hermano. Okay, the El Hermano meme is so funny. So who is it that makes that series? There's a series that a lot of YouTubers are in on, like Devil Artemis, Slick Goku was part of it before he passed, unfortunately. Daito Madachi's in it. I think Daito Madachi's the one who actually makes the series, now that I think about it. But it's called the Gohan verse. And it's like they have different versions of characters, like different versions of Gohans that have made like a council where they like protect different timelines and time streams and realities and stuff. And there's every Gohan has like a Piccolo and a Gohan and a Goku, and this particular Gohan that they're following is like an emo Gohan, where his mom pretty much gets clapped for money, and like his Piccolo father figure is like still there, but his Goku isn't really like in his life. And then Slick Goku kind of becomes like his father figure, which really makes like Slick's passing really sad, because now it's like not only did he pass away, but in a sense Gohan, or this new emo Gohan in a sense, lost his dad. And then on top of that, there is, I lost my train of thought. So the Beast Gohan, it was actually joked about because there's a form in that series called El Blanco, where it's literally just Gohan drinking tequila. Yeah, Gohan Blanco. He gets the white hair, the red eyes, and then the crazy aura in that series. And then like the true version of Blanco is like the spiky hair and stuff. So then once the Dragon Ball Super movie came out and he had the beast form, people were like, they literally stole El Blanco, like they stole that. And it was the funniest thing going on for like the longest. I remember I had to show my friend, the one that I told you blazes Bakugo, I had to show him this because we both like indulge in Dragon Ball content a lot. So I had to show him the multiverse, and he was dying because he's like, because I showed him the video and like the year it came out, and he was like, oh yeah, this definitely predates this Dragon Ball movie, even back when they started production. And it's just so funny. I loved it. Yeah, but here I am getting sidetracked again. Oh well, let's read some of the comments. You said thinks he's the strongest. Oh my god, the look on his face in the original Broly movie was the most iconic thing about him, in my opinion. I also didn't like him in the Broly movie. In the OG Broly movie, the Legendary Super Saiyan, I didn't like Vegeta in that movie because every single time they meet powerful opponents in the show, it's always like, oh yeah, this guy he thinks he's so strong, but he's not stronger than me. I'm the most powerful warrior there is, and blah blah blah. Even when he was outmatched, like when he was fighting Frieza, he knew Frieza was stronger than him, and he still fought Frieza on the hopes that he would be able to kill him or be able to become a Super Saiyan and kill him. But then when Broly shows up, he just goes Legendary Super Saiyan, and Vegeta falls to his knees and quite literally sits there on his knees for like 15 minutes while his homies are all getting their asses whooped. And he's just over there, oh my god, he's the Legendary Super Saiyan. No one can beat him. Oh my god, he's the greatest there is. I'm weak in comparison. I can never hope to attain this power. And Piccolo, the only other character in this franchise who is known for getting glazed and still getting his ass beat. Piccolo pulls up to him and it's like, hey, get it together. You either show up and fight him like everybody else, or we all die. And I think Piccolo's a real one for that, because every fight, damn near every fight, Piccolo shows up, he aura farms, he gets in some really good hits, he throws off the armor, he gets in some more hits, and then he still loses the fight at the end of the day. Vegeta, normally the same way. He shows up, got his arms crossed, talks his shit, fights, gets in some really good hits, and then eventually gets his ass whooped. But in the Broly movie, he just decided to get on his knees and glaze the hell out of Broly, and Piccolo had to humble him. And then when Vegeta did show up, he got one-shotted, which I thought was hilarious. Getting clotheslined into that wall and then just getting his face pushed into the rocks, thought that was so hilarious. Well deserved. As a certified Vegeta hater, it had to be one of my favorite scenes. Vegeta is the worst effect animation. Yeah. So I think, to be honest, we did go off on a hell tangent twice, but I pretty much do think that does explain at least why I don't like Vegeta. As far as him being a fraud, I think he's only a fraud in the Cell Saga. So I can't really say that like he's a fraud overall. It's just more so that like in the Cell Saga, he really did sell that. Like, pun intended, he did sell the whole fight. But it wasn't just him though. Everybody made dumb decisions, to be honest. Pretty much everybody did. Goku throwing his son out into combat was pretty dumb because he never learned until literally seeing his son get his ass whooped that Gohan doesn't like fighting. Even though Gohan 100% does have the power to defeat Cell, I feel like Goku shouldn't have forced him into it. Really a bad decision on his part, and his son got beat up a lot because of it. Krillin destroying the button instead of just blowing up 18. Genuinely one of the stupidest decisions ever, because here's the thing, at the end of the Cell Saga, they got the Dragon Balls and they wished for everybody that died to Cell to come back to life. And then obviously he brought back 17 and 18. Krillin could have just brought back 18 anyway, and then wished for the bombs in their bodies to be gone or something. Like, there was no reason for him to destroy the button, because at the end of the day, it's more so destroy 18 now so that Cell doesn't reach its final form. And then when you defeat Cell, we can wish back 18 and she doesn't have to live in fear from Cell, you know? So Krillin really just wasn't using his brain at that point. I mean, to be honest, he was really just head over heels for 18 because she kissed him on the forehead one time. Oh, sorry, on the cheek one time, my bad. And then obviously we have the fraud of Vegeta, who got so strong that he was able to kill Cell at any moment. And instead of killing him, Cell's like, hey, if I get 18, I can reach my final form and be strong as hell. And for some dumbass reason, Vegeta's desire to fight a strong opponent led him to be like, hey, I'm gonna literally fight my son who has seen his future die so that I can see Cell at full power. That's insane. He fought his own child and helped Cell reach full potential for the final battle. That is selling it at its most. I mean, even before the whole second form Cell to final form Cell thing, when he fought 18, when he fought Android 18 the first time and she broke his arm, God, that scene was so satisfying. Like, I can't call him a fraud for that scene because he was really just trying to fight and kill the androids. And, he does his normal Vegeta shit talk. He points to himself with his thumb, and then he gets cooked, which is normal. And then, him crying in space, I want to be a Super Saiyan. I want to be a Super Saiyan. Really pathetic, but again, not really fraud behavior, just being sad in general, like being a pathetic character. Like, I don't vibe with Vegeta. I know a lot of people do, but he's just not for me. He's really not my flavor of character whatsoever. He's a cool rival for Goku. I do like that they parallel each other in the sense of, like what I said before, where Goku's like the one who's always training and learning from new masters and gaining new techniques, and then Ultra Instinct is like the culmination of all that, where all of his techniques are like fresh and his body just instinctively uses it, while Vegeta is more of a battle hardened warrior who learned how to fight in the sticks pretty much. And then Ultra Ego is like the culmination of that, where he's like a full-on like brawler. So him and Goku are pretty much opposites, but fighting for the same cause, which I think is cool. But yeah, no, Vegeta's an absolute fraud in the sense of letting Cell get strong enough to kill everybody in a way. I also didn't like that when Cell reached his final form, Vegeta used Final Flash for the first time, and we saw Cell was like half destroyed, kind of like a decent amount of his body was gone, and then he just regenerated and was flexing on Vegeta again. But Vegeta said that, if I swear this happened, I don't think I'm not making this up, I'm sure, but Vegeta said he narrowed the Final Flash like so that it didn't hit his full body, but he just hit like a part of him, or like a decent chunk of him, as like a fear tactic. Vegeta could have just one-shotted him, because like if he destroyed that much of his body with the Final Flash, he could have just expanded the beam instead of narrowing it and then hit his whole body. It would have been a cool thing where like Vegeta let him reach his final form, but then he made up for it by actually killing the villain. But of course, Vegeta can never kill any official final villains, no final bosses. He can kill the Ginyu Force, Qui, Dodoria, Zarbon, that's fine. But as far as, killing a big bad like Frieza or Cell, no, he can't do that, of course. He can't do that. As much as he earned it, though, because he definitely deserved to kill Frieza. He should have killed Frieza. They should have allowed Vegeta to get the final kill on Frieza during the Resurrection F movie. They really stole that from him. I don't like that. Him going Super Saiyan Blue and killing Frieza should have been the best. Oh, you know what? While we're here talking about Vegeta Super Saiyan Blue, I think Super Saiyan Blue should have been a Vegeta exclusive form, because Goku got Super Saiyan God through the ritual. I think Super Saiyan Blue should have been Vegeta's version of Super Saiyan God, but the way it would look if you get Super Saiyan God on your own instead of doing the ritual. I think the ritual should stay the red color that Goku has, and when he fought Frieza, he should have used Super Saiyan God, the red hair, and then Vegeta should have popped up and used Super Saiyan Blue and given no explanation. He should have gone Super Saiyan Blue, beat the hell out of Frieza, killed him, and then we could have gotten the explanation of Super Saiyan Blue much later in the series. When they went back and showed us Goku and Vegeta training, and obviously that's how they got Super Saiyan Blue, they should have had it where Vegeta was the only one that got Super Saiyan Blue, so that we could have gotten that explanation, like, oh, this is where he learned the form. That would have been really cool. And then that would coincide with Vegeta unlocking what did they call it? Super Saiyan Blue Evolution or something like that, which is pretty much just how he went from Super Saiyan to Super Vegeta. So then he went from Super Saiyan Blue to Blue Evolution. Should have been Super Blue in my opinion, but semantics, whatever. But yeah, Blue Evolution should have been like his next state after that, because that would have basically been like using Super Saiyan while in God form, because he would have been Super Saiyan Blue, which would have been his version of Super Saiyan God, and then Blue Evolution would be going Super Saiyan on top of that, and then Goku could have had something else. Like, I don't know. They gave him Super Saiyan 4 and Daima. I guess they could have done that there. They could have figured something out. Maybe put the Kaioken on top of Super Saiyan God, because then that would have been really cool. You would have gotten the spiky red Crimson from the Kaioken on top of the fiery red from the Super Saiyan God form. That would have been really dope to look at. I don't know. I'm kind of just saying things now at this point, because I do want to push my stream to at least be 2 hours. And I really thought that talking about all these characters I don't like would have lasted much longer. But apparently, I got enough gas for an hour 45.